Okay, I made it. I'm here. I'm late, but I'm here. So, thank you for being patient and waiting for me today. And just want to say thank you for sending in your questions. We've got lots of questions to get to today. Um, and I appreciate having a little extra time this morning to get some more clients in. It has just been a busy summer, and I'm filled with gratitude for all the connections I'm making. I've got another session after this, so if I don't get to all of our questions today, I save them and I will have those for next week. So thank you for joining me. I'm going to read the prayer. We're going to see what message the guides want to bring forth, and then we're going to jump into questions. So let's see here. And hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Okay. I ask God if He will have a shield of love and truth around you permanently, so only God's love and truth will exist between you and me. I allow the masters, teachers, and loved ones of you to channel through me out of whatever realm to say whatever they wish. I ask the permission of the Lords of the Akashic Records, so I'm able to look into the records of you and remove whatever information I'm allowed. Okay. Okay. All right. So the guides want to start out today, and they are saying we need a lot more compassion, and that it would be helpful, for the world, for what's going on just all over. And what they're saying is compassion. Compassion is a very healing energy, and it almost, this is such a good way to put it. I've never heard this. They said compassion for others is an act of forgiveness. And it's an act of forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. It's an act of letting go of any judgments. And compassion could be closely linked to empathy. When we have compassion for others, we can empathize. And there's using the word empathy as opposed to sympathize. And empathy and compassion, it's like saying to someone, I feel you. I feel what you're feeling. And of course, not letting yourself get consumed by those feelings, but being able to meet someone there. And they said that more importantly, they would like, because anything that we send out to the world has to start with ourselves first. And so they said they would like for you to practice compassion with yourself. And they are inviting you to go to age 15. That is 15. And they want you to be there in your life, whatever was going on in your life. And they said, whatever, if there's a memory that comes up to you right away, or if it's just, a moment in time, of what was going on in your life at 15 and not any, specific thing. But they said, go to that time, go to age 15 and be with that part of yourself. What were your thoughts? What were your fears? What were your hopes and dreams? What were your insecurities? Was there an event that's really memorable for you? And how do you hold that event in your mind? Was it traumatic? Was it special? Was it just, you're not sure what to think about it? But they want you to go back and have compassion for that 15-year-old self and really soothe that part of yourself, whatever might be there. And then tell that part of yourself whatever wisdom you wish you would have known then that you know now. And see how that maybe sets free some things that you need to let go of or you need to soften. So that could also be a time, they said, where there isn't anything that needs soothing. Yet it was a real active, inspired, dreaming kind of time. And maybe the world looked bright and beautiful, and the whole world is your oyster. And maybe those things didn't get lived into, and that part of yourself could be a little disappointed now. And so they would like for you, if that is the case, to revisit that part of yourself that was excited about the future, and bring that part back, and let that part of yourself know there's still a place for it, and welcome it. So whether there's compassion in the soothing sense, or compassion for reassurance, either way, they said to be with that. And it may take a few days to really allow yourself to have the time and space to reflect there. But they said that the compassion that you can offer yourself is really what fuels the compassion you can offer others. Mm-hmm. So, 1 second here. It's all, gosh, this is so interesting. They're saying too, it's like when we pray for others, we're also praying for ourselves. So remember, we're always in the energy of what we're doing, being, and thinking. And so compassion for others is compassion for self. Compassion for self is compassion for others. Yet the guides would always have you start self first. Hang on here. I'm just seeing if I'm trying to see, they're trying to explain to me. Give me 1 second here. When we pray for others, we are praying for ourselves, but really because we're being in the energy of prayer. Does that make sense? What you wish for another, you wish for yourself. So what you wish for yourself, please wish for another. They are hand in hand. It's the same vibration. As Abraham Hicks says, every stick, has opposing ends, but they're the exact same thing. These aren't opposing, but it's just saying whether you're on the receiving side or the sending side, it's the same. Yet you are in control of that. I'm hoping that makes sense. More importantly, though, they would like for you to play with that exercise and go back to that time and see what comes up for you there. Okay. So they said, so much of the hurting in the world is from a lot of unhealed, trauma, or just childhood wounds. Some of it's bigger than that, obviously. Yet, if individuals that are embroiled in some of these situations could heal those parts of themselves, we would really diffuse a lot of these situations from arising. And again, there are bigger things going on in the world that are destined to happen, so to speak, that we can't necessarily influence. We can lessen a degree of it. And we don't want to get into that whole big topic unless y'all have specific questions around it. So that's where they want to go today. It's just leave you there today. And let this be a self-practice, self-reflection. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get in here. I'm going to jump into some questions. Okay. All right, here. Okay, here's one. I've just had a lively, moving experience, and it's still ongoing. Let's see, a meeting with the building manager's boss this week. How will this go? Do the guides have any advice about my message or approach warnings? Actually, you know what? I have an updated question on that one. Okay, I've moved. I've got my things closer. There's a massive tsunami warning and quake last night. So this person is writing in from the western region. All these earth changes, will they in any way affect how I'm managing to put my living situation together and finally find peace? And how will talks with the building management affect my home going forward? Will my concerns be heard, understood? I basically live at the inlet that was wiped out in the 1964 9.2 quake and on an ocean-fed river. Moving has been a long and arduous experience. Anything that could bring advice and a clear picture for me to paint would be a big help. Okay. Okay, so the guides understand there's certain, fears and insecurities given that story of where you're living and finally moving and getting things in there. And then also the unrest with maybe the building management group. And so the guides would have you, if you haven't had a conversation or you're planning to have another conversation, they're recommending that you just let things settle for a little bit. We're in intense energy. We're also in Mercury retrograde, so things with communication and technology go awry. And it's just really important, any kind of conversations or contracts, all that kind of stuff that are really important. If you can delay those until Mercury goes direct, I think it's the 11th of August, that would be helpful. And so just use this time right now to kind of let the dust settle and to be at peace with where you are. Remember, the guides just said, if you want peace in your experience or peace for the world, and you have to be at peace in here first. And so when you can tell yourself that you're safe and that you're meant to be there and you can trust in this process, you really start to diffuse any of those feelings less than peace or those anxious feelings. So they would have you take this time and be still. And they would also ask you to go back to your 15-year-old self. And they're saying for you maybe 13, but really soothe something there. And because it feels like part of you from that time is still in control. And we often do this when we haven't, I don't want to say, if we're not conscious and really self-aware, and a lot of times we're not, we're human, we can be looking at life through the lenses of a very young part of ourselves that still feels the need to be in charge and look out for things. And so it's helpful to know that part of you, and if that part of you is still active. Because a lot of times those are just trigger reactions, responses coming from old parts of us and sitting in that fear and security. So being the wise adult today that we all are, it's like the guide said, what wisdom or words of maybe nourishment could we give that part of ourselves that needed it at that time? We're still doing that today. So they would want you to spend time with that and kind of soothe the fears, soothe that part of you that is fearful, and allow that peace to kind of settle in and start spreading out. As far as being there in the quake area, that is risky given everything that Tom Moore talks about, or even just, that's a big quake last night, and the tsunami effects have been real. So there is something, is your intuition telling you you're meant to be there though, and that's not going to be your experience, then you need to honor that and really get into that place of knowing with it. Yet if the fear stays greater and you can't talk yourself out of that fear, then staying there is probably not going to be in your best interest, because you don't want to stay in a place where you're going to have fear. So this is more, I'm hearing your work around fear and trust. Yeah, I think any more than that, it's going to get too deep for a session here on YouTube. So they said you understand and that you'll reflect on that. So I appreciate you asking that. Okay. Some of these questions are big, and I'm okay. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna jump around a little bit today, y'all, just because I've got another client after this. All right, having been through one marriage, I'm now exploring the spiritual significance of marriage, if any, outside of organized religion and traditional norms. I'm curious what the guides have to say about this and whether a religious affiliation or holy person's involvement is necessary. Many men in my position view marriage as a sham with no benefit, often due to our legal system, and I want to understand more. Thank you, thank you. Well, that's a big question too. So the guides would say it is unfortunate that marriage is viewed as a sham by so many, but those so many have had vibrations or soul contracts that were being played out, and in that role they have been unaware. And so marriage is a foundation for where we do a lot of evolution. And so those that consider it a sham still need some level of evolution, did not gain what they were there to gain as far as in their soul's understanding. And so work for them continues. So the guide said, we certainly, everybody, marriage, there are those that say, marriage in spirit under God is all that is necessary when two come together. And that's true to a degree. Having to go through the legal stuff, it doesn't matter in spirit if that happens. The guides are saying, though, the impact of it, though, legally joining with someone, or making a spiritual commitment to someone that is legalized and bound, makes it a little harder to get out of and walk away from. Part of that is there so that you will stay and have your evolution in that relationship. And they are saying that making that declaration with thought, word, action, which includes the written stuff, creates a stronger vibration around this commitment. It doesn't mean two people who don't go through this are any less committed, but it's in a legal setting, I guess with paperwork, they're saying it sends a bigger message to the universe. And again, not one is better than the other. So you still have to choose what feels right to you in all things and in all ways. And they said the more important thing in the union is surrounding that union with love and people that matter to you, and letting them be a witness to this, because they will hold your union just as important as you do, if that makes sense. So look at all of the acts of marriage, from the legal things to the spiritual things, and determine what really speaks volumes to you, as in, what do you feel puts a bigger stamp on things, a punctuation mark on things. And also they said entering into that agreement is designed to have both people really reflect on, am I being authentic or not? Am I doing this because this feels right for me to be walking in this journey with this person? So many people get married without consciousness or without awareness, and that's another reason why a lot of the marriages don't stay together. And the design is to be authentic, come to it with authenticity, and then those things won't feel scary if you are living in an authentic way. Gosh, I hope that makes sense. So all of those societal kind of things to live by aren't a big deal if you're being authentic and you're living in an authentic way with, your partner being authentic, and and it feels like the next right thing to do. Does that make sense? Mm. Okay. Hopefully that is helpful. What a great question. Okay. Hi, you guys. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. I have a question about Lionsgate. What should we be doing, seeking out, or manifesting during this time? This is sort of a collective question I'm curious about for the group and for me individually. Okay. Well, I love that this question is in here. So if y'all, most of y'all, I'm sure if you're tuning in here, you probably know the Lionsgate portal. I think that started July 29th, but it goes through, I think, till August 12th, with the peak date being August 8th. And the Lionsgate portal is a time when, is it the Earth, Sirius? Oh yeah, the Earth, Sirius, and Orion's belt all line up together. And so it's believed to create this portal in the universe, happens once a year, and creates a really powerful manifesting time. And so one thing that's really interesting about this one this year is we are in the year of the snake. And so they are saying, the guides are saying, use this time, this powerful manifesting time, to get into that place where you do want to manifest. Manifest means to make appear something you want that's not here. So they are saying, like the snake sheds its skin, its old skin. When it's done with it, it no longer serves it, so it sheds it. So use this time to really reflect on what you'd like to manifest, and then what do you need to let go of? What's getting in the way of those manifestations? Is it a belief that you're holding about something? Is it an energy that you've surrounded yourself with that needs to change? Could be a person. So they are saying they would be mindful of that, but use this time to not let anything get in your way, and to really realize this is your journey, and this is your soul's journey. This is your life. You're the pilot, and they want you to really be a little selfish here and think about, what do you want to manifest in your life? What do you want to see appear that's not here right now? And then get into that energy place of it. And if you see something in the way of that, or if you have a reason that's not happening, then that's what you want to put your attention on. Clear that out. So it's not a highly active time, action taking time, except for letting those things go. It is, right now, I would say it's about reflecting, imaging, and then clearing. And they said, they said that it's important to know that clutter around takes up space and gets in the way of energy flowing. And so they would be mindful of clutter. And are there things that can be donated, repurposed, given to someone, maybe taken outside, put in a garden as an ornament. But they're just saying to be mindful of the space that you're in. And that goes for everybody, to notice the clutter that's around, and to simplify, clean some of that up. Be willing to let go of things and show the universe that you trust in the process of flow, and that you don't need to hold on to so many things, and that you are open to receive. So flow, reflection, letting go, and holding fast to this powerful time. They said you could also imagine the lion's energy And if you embraced and channeled the lion's energy, what would that feel like for you? How would you show up? What would you do differently if you really embraced that powerful energy, that big cat energy? You know, cats tend to represent independence. Um, you know, in the animal kingdom, they represent so much more than that. Think about what that big cat means to you. Um, you know, when you think lions, you think, hear me roar. And gosh, what if you commanded that power in your life? What would your life look like? So think about that too. Reflect on that too. This is a really wonderful time to call that energy in and start living in it. So, what a great question. Great answer. Fun. Okay. Okay, here we go. My husband is currently unemployed and seeking a new job with a great company and a great salary. He will be interviewed by History Makers, an organization which preserves the stories of African Americans who have made an impact in our society so that their stories and achievements can be preserved for future generations. He's a technology executive in the communications industry. My question is, will this interview be successful and a catalyst for an opportunity for a new position with a great salary? If so, when? What can you tell us? Thank you so much. Okay. So again, we're at the Lionsgate portal. Is a powerful manifesting time. So I am hearing that following on the heels of the question about marriage, this is so great. The guides are saying your husband approaches his work with authenticity and has clear intention of, you know, the role he could play for this company. And it's like, oh, you know, our jobs, our careers, our work relationships, you know, who we work with and who we work for is really should be held in the same reverence as our marriages. And because they're both partnerships and they're both need to be entered into with clear intentions and authentic hearts. So the guides are saying your husband can do this and he would bring a lot to the table, and it looks like it's time for his light to really shine brightly in that and to let go of any fears and doubts around it, but look at more as to what he's bringing to the table here, what he's contributing to the success of this organization. And he needs to spend more time in that place, really seeing his value to enhance the work of this organization and how he'll be a real asset. And they said to tell him to spend a lot of time in that and kind of, you know, just toot his own horn, so to speak, even, but he's got to feel that. He's got to be in that. He's got to know that. And also see how he fits into this place. But I'm hearing there's a real potential for success here, for him to shift some thinking around that, and it could happen. I don't have a timeline though. Doesn't feel far away. I would say by the end of summer. So it would happen sometime this summer. So hopefully that helps too. Okay. All right, here's one. Let's see. Okay, I just learned my 12-year-old tuxedo cat may be diabetic, as my nearly 18-year-old tortie cat is transitioning. You've spoken of cats taking their human illnesses, and I know Redbud used to take my sorrow regularly. I would clear him energetically afterwards. He has a vet appointment. Can his guide show you anything I need to know regarding his heart or health? I'm open to a feline naturopath too. Can diabetes be reversed or cleared if he has it? Do the guides show anything else he's got going on? All right, let's see here. So what she's referring to is that animals do take on energy. And that's not a new concept, really. So they can often take on our illnesses. they can take on our feelings and emotions. Part of the way animals, support us here is to help us heal. Even, sometimes even things we don't even know we need healing from. So diabetes in the metaphysical world represents sweetness in life, or life is not sweet. Diabetics and their relationship to sugar. So it's like life needs to be sweeter. I need more sweetness in my life. And so you could look at it as what you've been through on your journey in the past few years, and what you've been having to deal with that this kitty has been taking on. I am hearing, yes, it can be reversed. Most people do not believe it can, so it often is not, but I'm hearing to tell you that it can be. But also maybe he is willing his way out too, along with your older kitty, and that might be happening by design, so that you are free to travel and do things that you might have been putting off because of that. So I'm not getting that 100% clarity, but I would say there's something to that too. I wouldn't be surprised if he feels like his work is done also, getting you through this time that you've been through in the past few years. I'm also hearing to tell you not to worry. There are plenty more bodies for him to choose to come back, much younger version. And he might choose to be feral, so he can have a little bit of a wild ride the next time. So there's something bigger going on here. If it's not diabetes, I do feel like it's going to be something else. But I would say have as much compassion and love as you possibly can right now, and spend as much wonderful time as you can right now. I would say his time is limited, and I hate to say that. Can things change? Can a trajectory shift there? Yes. But that's what it feels like right now. So, but just know animals are so conscious. They know what they're doing, and they're very wise and aware with their journeys and how to make their way out, because they're often planning their way back in at the same time. So, which are a lot of our loved ones in spirit too. Okay. Go here. I want to make sure I get to everybody today. What time are we? Okay. I only have a few more minutes, y'all, and I gotta get to my next client here. Okay. And all right, I hope you're doing well. Here's my question. Why did I choose this family and country in this lifetime? Ooh, I don't know if we can answer that on this one. That might be a lot. Let's see here. Okay. So I am hearing that this is so interesting, that you were one of, they're telling me, the original rulers of islands. They're saying there were so many islands, it was hard to, but they were all under the one rule of you. And they said you were a kind ruler and a good ruler, but you had a hard time getting to know all of the people on the different islands. And the islands were all very different. So I'm not sure where this is, if this is in the Caribbean, in the Atlantic. I'm not sure. My geography is kind of poor, I think. I'm not sure where the islands are, but they're saying that you decided, because you will be a great ruler again, that you wanted to get to know all of the different islands in different lifetimes. So it's kind of like you're using your lifetimes in your island hopping, and you're studying the culture and of each island. And so there will be a time when you come back as a ruler, but you will have the wisdom of knowing all the people under your kingdom, so to speak, and you will guide them much differently, understanding different people respond to different ways, almost like they're all different languages. The cultures are, some are very similar and some are very different, but it's like, they're saying it's like if someone who learns to speak 10 languages, they can communicate differently, with a group when all those languages are represented in a group. And so they're saying that that's kind of like what you're doing. You're learning the language of these independent, different islands that will, once again, you'll be in a position where you're ruling. I don't know if I'd say the islands altogether, but ruling people, a collective of cultures. I hope that makes sense. Now, the family that you chose, let's see here. So this is really interesting because normally the families that were in this lifetime, they are in our immediate soul group, and we continue to come around and around for them. So I was asking your guides if they were part of this time when you were a ruler, and they said yes, they were there in that time. Also, they were part of the kingdom as well. Some on the ground, some traveling to different, some wanted to set up a kingdom of their own in other islands. I'm also hearing they chose to come in, really experience, it looks like what a ruler would consider a commoner, if that makes sense, and understand just being a part of that society, being a part of that culture, not having advantages or privileges. So see if you can look at them in their journey and understand what role they might have played under your rulership in the royal family and what they are understanding in this lifetime that they're trying to learn from their soul's perspective. So see if you can play with that idea a little bit and see what you come up with. But wow, that's so fascinating. Okay. All right, let me see here. All right, you guys, I have a client in like 15 minutes. So let me see here. I get to one. And I want to say hey to you guys. Okay. Let me see. I'm just seeing if I can get to any of you guys here today. It's nice to be back. I know. I was thinking today, I'm like, well, maybe Wednesdays aren't my best day because I'm having a hard time getting here. But I'm just going to chalk it up to summer and retrograde and just getting over our move. But anyway, I've got a client in 15. So I'm going to wrap us up for today. If I did not get to your question, for those of you joining live, please email me or be here next week. I will be on time next week. I have nothing. I've blocked my calendar before and after, so no worries. Let me see if the guides have a parting message for us, or I'm going to grab us an Ascended Master. Let's see who's with us. All right, let's just see here. So Lionsgate Portal, remember, we're in big energy right now. We're rounding out July. August 1st is that tomorrow? Oh, Friday. But wow, beginning of a new month. So think what this time means for you. What do you want August to be about? How do you want to harness this Lionsgate energy? Let's see. I'm asking what Ascended Masters are going to be with us as we go through this period. Okay. Clear and shield your energy, El Moria. Clear, right? And then I cannot pronounce that one, but see the other person's point of view, which goes back to how we started with compassion. So it doesn't mean you have to agree, right? But you can see that somebody else have their point of view. Remember, they may be coming from an outdated set of eyes that doesn't serve them anymore either, but you don't know that. So you just got to let people be where they are, right? Everyone wants to be here how they want to be here. Um, all right, let me see. Anything else? No. No. So the guides said they are sending many blessings, and they want you to imagine your hands open and just allow yourself to receive these blessings from the universe. And even if you give yourself just 20 seconds, just sit with your hands open in that receiving position and just say thank you, they said, and you'll feel it. Okay. Well, you guys, thank you. I will see you next week, next Wednesday, August 6th, I think. Yes, August 6th. And I look forward to it. All right.